Today was by far one of the weirdest tournament days that I've been able to spectate through in my short time recapping these things for you guys, because on one hand, we had an epic, truly classic series between Spirit and Vitality, Donk versus ZywOo, Chopper versus Apex. It went 3 games, it was amazing, there were just truly epic moments all throughout. And on the other hand, we had NAVI taking on VIRTUS Pro, which is one of the most infuriating stomps I've ever had the displeasure of sitting through. So as someone who is trying to make analytical content to break down these games for you guys, one of these series is gold, and the other one makes me want to scream. Weird position to be in. Alas, there is nothing to be done but to get into it and break it all down for you guys. We have our final set for tomorrow, NAVI taking on Team Spirit. Let's take a look at how we got there and get started with this recap. But just before we do, make sure you guys take a second, leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It helps out immensely in the YouTube algorithm. Many of you who watch these videos are not subscribed, so make sure you do it. While you are down there, consider becoming a channel member. For $5 a month, you can support me directly in what we do here, gain access to normal videos the night before anyone else, as well as a shout out at the end of every video. And lastly, check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/LionHeartZ1337. I stream Sunday through Friday, 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and let's just get right down into the breakdown. Alright, we're getting things started with a much anticipated rematch between Team Spirit and Vitality. Following their previous matchup at Dallas, there were a lot of question marks going into the series, because back at that previous event, Vitality thoroughly routed Team Spirit, made them look silly. They looked like they had the Donk formula solved. ZywOo outplayed Team Spirit completely in that series, Apex outcalled Chopper, and frankly I think we were left with a lot of question marks about Team Spirit going forward off the back of that. What's going to happen when Chopper's calling falls short? Because in that series, what happened was they got so thoroughly neutralized on their T-sides that they started to look lost. They gave up too much map control to Vitality. It allowed too much control to go their way. And once Donk started running up against a brick wall both on his CT and T sides, that really gutted just the bite that Team Spirit normally brings to a match. Too much was then loaded onto Shiro and Zontic, and they just couldn't carry that weight. So coming into this, could Team Spirit rework their playbook, work more around Donk potentially being limited, and shoulder some of that burden between their other 2-star players? And for Vitality, have they really found the formula to stop this team when they're cranking on all cylinders, and can ZywOo maintain his form through a big best-of-3 series to power Vitality to yet another finals appearance? Unfortunately for all of you French fanatics out there, this may go down as one of the most frustrating series in Vitality's entire tenure with this lineup, because when you look back on it, it was totally winnable. Every single game was a nail-biter. They managed to take the first match on Dust 2 13-11, but then Spirit thoroughly routed them on the next 2 maps, Dust 2 and Anubis. When you look at those scorelines, both of them being 13-9, that means you're just a few rounds difference from suddenly being in control and potentially winning. You're one economy break away from being in the lead versus going home. And when you look at the stats, it wasn't even like Vitality went missing in any of these maps. ZywOo had good production throughout all 3 maps. Sure, he wasn't truly godlike in the latter 2, but he was overwhelming on Mirage and had good production on the following 2 maps as well. And the other players on Vitality like Flames, Spinks, and Mezzi all had timely production as well. It's just unfortunate this is one of those series where Team Spirit dominated you guys in pretty much every single respect. The highlight of this series for me by far was Chopper's calling on the T-sides. Chopper called a damn near perfect series down the stretch, thoroughly neutralizing Vitality's defensive efforts. As we'll get into, his ability to anti-strat in the mid-round was nearly Kerrigan levels throughout this entire series, and he had Apex in fits trying to realize what the hell they were doing. All of the micro decisions were basically perfect. The coaching decisions coming out of timeouts were great and well timed, and the way they handled the pace and controlled the momentum on their T-sides was immaculate. The unfortunate part is that T-side brilliance would take a back seat for the first map on Mirage because neither team was able to do anything on their terrorist attack here. This was a game about the CT sides. Vitality opened up the game on the CT side with a 10-2 half that was very dominant, came off the backs of ZywOo and Flames controlling mid and B respectively very well, locking out any kind of possibility to work the mid control into A rotates or into B pinches, completely shutting out anything Spirit were trying to do. Donk couldn't get any entries going, which definitely limited the ability for Spirit to take map control, and when Shiro was losing the op 1v1s to ZywOo, that gives ZywOo far too much control to take over the map. It took insane effort from T-Spirit to even get a round on the board. The first round they did so was on a force buy where they would double smoke mid-window, run down the clock to like 30 seconds, and at the very last minute push 4 players up cat into the B pinch, and it was only because Donk had the hero AK that they even get onto the bomb site. They needed insane amounts of utility and a lot of time wasting to box out Vitality into just the sites, to only then create a situation where they could burst in and get the bomb down. That was just the lay of the land for this game. Neither team was able to like organically take map control on their T sides, and that limited their options. And once we swap sides, it's Team Spirit's turn to dominate the CT half, and the way they do it is very different to most teams in the world. What I like about Team Spirit's mid setup on Mirage is that they're not afraid to push and deny any kind of op control from the Ts. So you look at a round like round 18 here, where even though Donk is going to try and push through the connector smoke and get traded out, he's not alone. Zontix and Chopper double push Catwalk to back him up, and they end up winning the trade war, and trades will always favor the CT side. Meanwhile, you have Shiro who's solo holding the B side with the op to make sure that they can't get anything going on the flanks, and suddenly Vitality are shut out of the round with no room to operate. And despite having success with this several rounds in a row, it unfortunately was just too much of a deficit for Spirit to overcome. Vitality only needed 3 rounds to end the map and send it to a map 2. So at that point, you're just playing the probability. Eventually, one of these rounds is going to go your way with so much talent on your squad, and that's what happened. Their rounds were few and far in between, but they only needed 3 of them, which allowed Vitality to take the early 1-0 lead and push us to a pivotal map 2 on Dust 2. And again, cast your mind back to IEM Dallas. At Dallas, Vitality made Spirit look silly on Dust 2, especially their T sides. The CT side defense for Vitality on Dust 2 was so good that it looked like Chopper ran out of options. He simply stopped calling anything except huddling into the B tunnels and waiting for something to happen. So coming into this, there were a lot of question marks. Would Team Spirit do their homework and come more prepped for Dust 2? And the answer is an unequivocal yes. So we're going to focus mainly on the second half here because it was the more interesting half of play. Just to give you an idea of how the game opened up, Vitality's T-side was great, they were in control and they won the half 7-5, but a lot of it just kind of boiled down to contact plays, a lot of mid-control, a lot of Zywoo on the op. And for Spirit, the rounds they won came definitely off the backs of Donk and Shiro, who were feasting on kills to open things up. Donk had 15 kills, Shiro had 11 respectively. But then we swapped sides, and this T-side from Spirit was incredible. And it all starts here. The game is tied 9-9. Vitality have just equaled out the scoreline by shutting you down 2 rounds in a row, and now Spirit are stuck with a very shaky force buy, and they haven't been able to make any kind of A control work in these last couple of rounds. Their attempts mid to cat failed. So now, what do you gotta do? You've been playing these rounds a little bit slow, and so far that's been working, but now might be the opportunity for a pace change. Why not go back to the old classic? We're going pub strats. We're going straight into an immediate B rush. And this B rush is only so successful because of the previous conditioning in the half. There had been no fast plays towards B up until that point. A lot of it was scrapping around mid control and looking towards catwalk. So when you look at Vitality on the minimap, they're really concerned about long A control and making sure that catwalk is secure. So they start the round with 4 players towards A. They've left Spinks on an island to play solo B. There's not even anyone concerned about the immediate mid push. So here, when you're low on the econ, now is a great time to play with pacing and switch it up. These are things you have to consider in your own games as well. If you've been playing really slow for many rounds in a row, now could be a great time to flip it entirely on its head and go really fast. You'd be shocked at how often this works because players get used to what you're trying to do. And this is exactly what happens to Vitality. They were used to the slower pace, they were used to the emphasis towards A, so they fell asleep at the wheel, Space gets taken down immediately, and this round is basically a non-factor for Vitality. The retake on B is just too difficult. Alright, you've gone control of yourselves, you've taken back the lead, what's next? Well, you're going to slow things down again and play around mid, right? But tragedy, Apex off of a great fast count is going to catch Donk in the first 5 seconds of the round. That's your best player, that's your entry down immediately. That's going to put you at a huge disadvantage, not even considering it's now a 4v5. But listen, Chopper is incredibly calm here in the mid round. He's going to slow things down, he's going to execute 1 set of mid to B smokes, try and bait out some utility from the CTs and see if Vitality will give them anything in terms of intel, while the remainder of his teammates are going to work their way back into tunnels to set up for the B hit. Chopper's going to re-smoke the mid to B, push out solo to create a distraction, and then this is one of the prettiest B executes you will see all year long. Vitality is entrenched in really hard to push positions on the B site, ready to receive this attack, but it's perfect flash support. It's Zontix more than willing to beat Donk in the situation and entry for his teammates, and there's just nothing for Vitality to do. Everyone is so flash, they can't even respond. They don't even get to fire back. They're taken out immediately, wiped off the board. Even though it's a 2v2, the B site's secure, it's too close in the game, your economy is broken, Vitality, so you're forced to save. You can't even go for this, even though both players are full health. Zywoo has utility and an op, but B site is impenetrable, so it's time to save. And that's an 11th round for Spirit, even though Donk goes down immediately and is taken off the board. The response here in the mid-round calling was just simply excellent. We then head into Spirit's first attempt at match point, and here they're going to want to take some long A control, and once again, the round is going to start off not going their way. Mezzy gets a huge 2-for-1 trade with the MP9, leaving them in a 3v4 situation, with Donk isolated all the way on the other side of the map in B tunnels. But here's the thing, Spirit do something really smart here. They stop, they hold still, and don't make any noise for the next 15 seconds or so. And in Vitality's mind, you have to consider some factors. One, there might have been an intel given away by Spinks that he thinks Donk is in tunnel. We don't know, didn't have the POV. However, Spinks is stuck, he's not moving away from tunnels until he sees the bomb. Donk can make noise over there and try and hold them over. Most importantly, they haven't seen the bomb long A. And in this situation, you gotta look at it from what Vitality might know because of the fog of war. Okay, we've just killed 2 players long. We saw more players there. Odds are they're going to back off and rotate around mid and maybe try to work B late. We haven't seen the bomb. Now's the time to retreat and hold A passive, watch catwalk, watch mid, and watch B. And in doing that, they completely give up long A control to Spirit, who sit in pit and wait it out, and then Zontix gets the perfect timing to creep. No smoke, no flash, no intel, all the way to A platform. And he's just going to sit. He's going to wait. There's no way for Vitality to know that he's all the way on the A site already, and then he catches Apex off guard on catwalk, unable to even expect him to be there. And again, we're going to pause. Look where the Vitality players are when Apex dies. Nowhere near the A site. The A site is given up completely. They can get the plant down. It's a 3v3 retake. Donk is going to be able to come through on the flank. This is such an insane spot for Spirit to be after going down so heavily early on in the round. And it was because of the patience, and I would presume the mid-round calling from Chopper. Now, we can only speculate in hindsight, but ZywOo misses this Molotov to deny the plant on A site, and maybe that's enough for them to collapse from catwalk and CT and make a difference in the round. However, that's the break sometimes. It's a missed grenade in a crucial moment, and that puts Vitality basically out of the round. ZywOo gets picked by Shiro, Donk has come through long, the site is secure, and Vitality are forced once again to save. 3 saves in a row, where they were non-factors in the post-plant. From there, the match point round is simply Spirit trying to overwhelm Vitality. Donk is going to run out mid immediately, and even though he gets taken down, he is backed up Vitality and prevent them from taking 84 position. Zontix is going to try and get cheeky around a smoke on the B site. Even though he goes down, elsewhere, Magisk has snuck up long A. He's going to find his pick totally unawares, and that's going to allow Shiro to collapse through mid over catwalk, let them take the A bomb site. It's now a 3v2 post plant. Weird, there's been a lot of those these last few rounds, and there's simply no hope for Vitality. Spirit close it out, tie up the series, and send us to a climactic map on Anubis. Now, once again, we're going to focus on the second half and how Spirit closed out this game and this series because it was remarkable. Keep in mind that both of these maps that Spirit won, they lost the first halves. They did all their work in the clutch to try and win out this series, and that's what makes it so remarkable, because again, we look at the first half of play score-wise, and Vitality, they win their first half on T-sites, 7-5. You look at how things are working. You got Flamesy and ZywOo, 11 kills and 7 respectively, winning duels and opening up bomb sites. And then we swapped to the second half, and the counter-terrorist performance from Vitality just wasn't the same. It didn't hit the same. The way Spirit ran end runs around them, forced them into save situations, into bad rotates. It was incredible stuff. It starts out with the pistol round. Shiro has a great 4K with the P250, and then Vitality throw a gut punch. They go for the force buy on the second round, and they win, and it comes off the back of just simply winning their trades. Flames strikes out A with the MP9, takes a kill. He gets traded out immediately, but ZywOo and Apex pair up to take care of mid and A water control, leaving Magisk and Chopper in a 2v3 situation, and then they try to run into ZywOo on A site, and he cleans up the 4K. Just really great stuff from ZywOo with the Glio and the MP9 to secure this round, and with the broken economy, Vitality are looking to go on a run here. However, we go into the very next round, and man, it must be nice to have Donk on your team, because you can do dumb stuff like this, like force buy 1 AK into his hands, run him down water into the E-box, and he'll get 2 headshot kills, blow open the B side, get you to a 5v2 post plant where Vitality are forced to immediately save. Just Donk things. You know, a round that shouldn't be possible, but with 1 AK and 1 17-year-old prodigy, I guess anything's possible. And keep that save thing in the back of your mind here. We're going to take note of how many times Vitality are forced into save situations throughout the rest of this game. The very next round, ZywOo is going to go for a huge swing outside the A rugs. He's going to go down, but Flames is going to take the trade. Meanwhile, Chopper is going to push up mid-bridge to try and take some forward control. However, there's 3 Vitality players coming to secure that area. Chopper is going to go down to a pre-fire. Zontex is going to get the trade, and then they're going to try and back up Spirit. They're going to try and get the bomb and move out. Meanwhile, Donk is going to move through A because he knows it's basically empty and try and move towards camera to pinch these mid players. Donk is going to transform into the perfect distraction here because the remaining Vitality players have to honor that Donk is there on A side, most likely meaning the bomb is going to go there. But as Donk gets into his gunfights around camera, what's going to happen is Spirit are going to smartly go straight to B for the freest planet in the world. Even though Spinks is going to trade out Donk and get control of the A side, there's no one else there, and now it's a 2v1, and guess what? Spinks has no other option but to save. The very next round, on a force buy, Vitality are going to get an early pick towards B with a great boost by Spinks, and because they're on a force buy, they're going to play heavy towards the B side, anticipating some kind of mid to B pinch, because it's a favorite default play out of Spirit. Meanwhile, Spirit, after losing the B control, are just going to send all 4 players through A long, meaning Flames and ZywOo are stuck on an island, and even though they do their best to get a couple of picks, they get traded out, which is going to force all of the ecoing players and the 1 rifle to overcommit, rotate to A to back up their teammates, and once they're spotted out, it's the easiest rotate call of all time for Team Spirit. They haul ass out of A, straight to B. Spinks and Mezzi are already there in A side, so they have to commit to holding or potentially picking up guns and going for another save. They can't immediately leave for B because they don't know if that's what Spirit are going to do. And once again, even though it's a 3v2 situation, Vitality aren't going to commit to try this retake. They're just going to save because their money's so low. What are we up to now? 3 saves in a row? After the timeout, Vitality are going to switch up. They're going to go for the early mid aggression. Mezzi's going to push straight through mid and catch Chopper unawares and get the early pick, and immediately fall back and concede this territory. Vitality are then going to stack up the bomb sites, putting 3B and 2A, while Spirit are going to re-aggress and retake the mid control that they previously gave up to Mezzi. From here, they're going to stack up in mid and start to execute a mid to A split, with 4 going through mid and Zontex on the lurk through A long. And immediately, things aren't going to go that well right out the gate. A great nade support for ZywOo is going to blow open the camera smoke and allow him to pick off Donk. However, this is a bad rotate from Vitality. Apex is going to jump over CT to try and backpick into heaven. Meanwhile, Spinks is going to push through the mid connector smoke by himself straight into the loving arms of Shiro, while Magic gets the refrag on the ZywOo. Almost instantly, the 5v3 advantage that Vitality had is erased into a 3v2 advantage for Spirit, and now Spirit have full control of CT spawn. They know they could just pinch and take care of whoever's still on B anchoring. Zontex just has to rotate through water into E-box, and the B site's essentially free, and once again, there's no choice but for Vitality to save on the remaining player. Again, simply fantastic mid-round calling from Spirit. I could go over more, but I'm not going to because the video's getting a little bit long. But this kind of calling, this kind of advantageous positioning from Spirit allowed them to rout Vitality throughout the rest of this half. Vitality looked scared. They looked like they didn't know what to do. They were unwilling to take any chances on retakes, especially if they were even at a slight disadvantage, and they saved way too many times. There was no confidence in the calling from Apex here, and I put that squarely on his shoulders. He was not willing to take any risks, especially with their economy being so thin, and Spirit took advantage and just ran circles around them on the map control. And keep in mind, this wasn't a God mode game from Donk. He finishes with a perfectly average scoreline. Shiro went off, and Zontex had great rounds himself, but it wasn't even like this was the overwhelming Spirit that would just run them over. Spirit just simply outstratted them all throughout this T half and made Vitality look silly. And ultimately, yeah, ZywOo has a quiet game, but it feels like no one took any initiative to try and change that. There was no timely aggression, no attempts to win clutches, and that's just not going to work against a team as good and as competent as Spirit, and that's why Vitality are going out and Spirit are making a Grand Finals appearance. They simply played wonderful in this series. Speaking of wonderful, let's move on to our other series of the day, NAVI versus VIRTUS Pro, where, guys, buckle in, because we're going to get real for a second. Now, if you missed out on yesterday's video, first off, what are you doing? You should go watch it, leave a like, leave a comment, all that good stuff. You know what to do. But in that video, I spent a not insignificant amount of time explaining how wonderfully VIRTUS Pro played against Astralis yesterday. They looked like a totally different team. They showcased a whole lot of potential. We saw Jane really come out of his shell and explore his calling both on the T and CT side and take some fucking risks. And I don't know what happened overnight, if those were clones on stage yesterday or the fucking Monstars showed up and zapped all of their superpowers before they hit the stage, but the VIRTUS Pro that played yesterday was not the same VIRTUS Pro that showed up to play NAVI today. Today was one of the most wretched, terrible, awful performances in a professional Counter-Strike match of this importance of the year. Virtus Pro did not just shit the bed, they projectile diarrheaed all over the entire fucking crowd in London. They shit themselves so goddamn bad, I'm surprised the hazardous units weren't deployed to take care of the toxic material. It was awful. Now listen, I could push up my glasses, I could equip my pocket protector and sit here and tell you guys about how Tactical Excellence empowered NAVI to win this series 2-0, how they used quantum dynamics to explore map control in the 4th dimension and completely rout Virtus Pro on a molecular level, Alexi B achieving IQs never before thought possible, and how he powered his team to victory. But no, that didn't happen. What happened was NAVI just walked out and hit them in the mouth, beat them in all the duels, and made them look silly. There was nothing strategic or interesting about what NAVI did. They walked forward, clicked head like it was a goddamn pug, and Virtus Pro keeled over and allowed it to happen. We open up the first map, and oh my god, this Anubis is one to forget if you're a Virtus Pro fan. Don't let the score fool you. This should have been a 13-0 victory for NAVI. I don't care about the 5 pity party participation trophy ass rounds that VP got. They got slapped in the face for the entire first half. Jame and Electronic had no kills through like 6 rounds. They finished the first half with 2 and 3 kills total, respectively. On the second half, they both got 1. Oh wait, sorry, Jame got 2, my bad, that's such a big difference. Electronic could do nothing. Jame couldn't hit the broadside of the barn when he wasn't saving. They got ran over so bad, it was embarrassing. And then we pull up to Mirage, and okay, listen, maybe someone, slapped some sense into VP in between games because, the first half, the CT defense doesn't start off that great, but they managed to finish the half 6-6. Yeah, okay, listen, hey, we're kind of in this. We're getting some kills. We're doing some things. Electronic has 7. Jame has 10. Amazing. Somebody not named Flit with double-digit kills on this Virtus Pro side in this series. Wow. Maybe VP can show us some of that T-side excellence we saw yesterday's. Jame, I'm looking at you, Jame. In the closing half of an elimination game in a semifinal, you pulled up with 0 kills? 0. A bagel. A goose egg. 0. None. Nada. Not a damn thing. 0. I get it. Jame is supposed to look like Jesus. Haha, he's supposed to be Counter-Strike Jesus. I get that. But whose sin did he have to die for this awful performance this deep in the tournament? I can't even formulate thoughts about this. I feel betrayed. I feel wrong. I feel like I just came home to find my wife in the living room looking nonchalant, but there's 2 wine glasses in the sink and I can't put 2 and 2 together that she's cheating on me. Like, what did I do to you, Virtus Pro? What did I do to you for you to hurt me like this? I backed you guys up. I've torn you apart, rightfully so, many times. When you guys have played good, I've been in your corner and seen the silver lining. I've seen the potential, but no more. Until further notice, until Virtus Pro can do it in an entire tournament, over more than 1 series. They are frauds. Fraud watch. Absolute chokers. This lineup is absolutely terrible at maximizing their possible potential, and I can't back them up anymore. I can't do it. It's not good for my health. I don't know what the hell is next for Virtus Pro, but they need to make changes. This is ridiculous. Jame is an incompetent in-game leader. I guess a broken clock is right twice a day, because occasionally it looks like Jame might know how to call an incompetent half of Counter-Strike, but it's too far and too infrequent. This coach, who even is the coach? I don't even know his name, but he isn't doing anything as far as I can tell, because how can you allow this to go on without calling a timeout and trying to change things up? And just get Jame off the in-game leader, get Norbert out of this team, get a proper caller, move Jame back to the superstar role, embrace Electronic's role as a lead entry fragger and an unparalleled aggressive player in this game, and change up the strategies. MR12 does not favor this passive-ass bullshit saving playstyle. It just doesn't work. Congrats to NAVI, because they got the matchup equivalent of kicking puppies and ran with it. They made the finals. They're looking great. And I think NAVI versus Spirit tomorrow is going to be a banger. But I am just mad at what we got to witness after such a great first series. VP, stop it. Get some help. Okay. That's it for the video. I'll see you guys tomorrow with the final recap for Blast Spring Finals. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave me a comment down below. Rant about Virtus Pro. Tell me everything you hate about Virtus Pro in the comments down below. Let's just get that going, huh? I think that'll be fun. Shout out to my channel members, Jesse, Justin, Furley, and Bubblesj. Thank you guys for supporting me. If you want to become a channel member, check the link down below. Check me out on Twitch, also linked in the description down below. I'll see you guys soon with another one. Peace.